Without further ado, let's welcome our panel. I think we're going to spotlight our fantastic panel right here. Of course, first and foremost, we've got Minister of State Alvin Tan. Hello, sir. How are you? Good morning to you. Looking cool right there. We have Pin Siu, fantastic Paralympian, gold medalist as well. And we've got Veronica Shanti Pereira. I told her to ask her a question. How is she so fit? How did she get all the gold medal in the SEA Games? And of course, we have Aiken Chia from NOC. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me. I will pose actually our first question, if you don't mind, to MOS, sir. If you don't mind, help us out a little bit. We did pick up on a few recurring themes from the various groups, and I think some of them were the Singapore spirit traits, multiculturalism, kiasu kiasi, and a combination of competitiveness and inclusiveness. Do you think those are some of the things that make up the Singapore spirit? Do you agree? And also, what does that mean to you? What does the Singapore spirit mean to you?
Thanks, Rishi, and also thanks to Pintiu, Aiken, and Shanti also. And also to everyone, because we've been jumping across all of the different rooms. And I think, Nadia, you kicked us off. Nadia, you're just there. And you put a really good summary of what you have discussed. I think it really encapsulates it. I thought about it, Rish. Multiculturalism. We had a few of these sessions already. One was last week, about 6 days ago. And multiculturalism featured very strongly in the first discussion. And I was thinking about this. I think somebody used the word roots. And I thought that was a really good characterization, because that is the core of, in fact, what Singapore was built upon. So multiculturalism is our root. Everything else kind of springs out from that. The good fruit and the not so good fruit also, if you think about it. So I thought maybe we can use that as a base. And then we look at how different things, come. Good fruits can prosper, and then we can benefit from it. We can enjoy it. But then there are also weeds that come out from roots. And then these kind of weeds we need to kind of prune also, Yeah. And then you also decide, you come out of this, with this thing, then when we produce a lot of this kind of fruits, then people are kiasu, we want to go and grab, or you want to share the fruits of your labor. And I think this is just something that I thought, Rich, if you don't mind, just to put a little bit of an analogy, because I think our multiculturalism really, and as one person mentioned earlier on, is really our roots, our foundation. But then what we do with this fruit of our labor, with good fruits or weeds, matter a lot. Yeah, so I just thought just to lay it out there, and then we can discuss a little bit more further. Thanks, Rich.
Agreed. No, fantastic. I think that's a great analogy. Yeah, we can't, as they say, you can't run away from your roots, and these are the cards we've been dealt. It's how best we move forward with them. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Would you mind telling us, based on that analogy, for example, now, how do you feel, sir, this Singapore spirit, or whether it's in terms of the roots or whether it's in terms of moving forward to remove the weeds and then make it better? How do you think the Singapore spirit can help us tide through the difficult time?
Yeah, the Singapore spirit, to me, it has to be something that's quite, I think, again, rooted. But then it will face all of these different headwinds. And Rich, I spent, before coming to government, I spent many years in the social media companies and the tech companies. So I think somebody mentioned earlier on, I think Amelia or somebody, Facebook. So I was involved with helping to build Facebook, then Instagram, and then WhatsApp and all that. So I've seen, what we've kind of built over time, these platforms. And these platforms are meant to allow all of us to share good things. But then these platforms have also allowed many of us to share bad things. These platforms have allowed us to bring people together. So you have like hawker tapao and all that, many of you have discussed and shared, and say, you please help our nurses and our doctors, our frontliners. But then it also is a platform where you have that lady with the gong, and then it, it's perpetrated. So the platforms can be neutral, but then how do we use it? And I think the Singapore spirit has to be, to use a term also, resilient. It has to be resilient across the good things and the bad things. But this technology is just one aspect. But what are we rooted on? What is the Singapore spirit rooted on? That we can use the technology well, but we can also push back against the negative aspects of the technology. That's very important. I don't think it is something that's wavering that will change over time, because if then will be no different from many other countries. But we are Singapore because we have this root of multiculturalism. We want, somebody said, we want to learn more about one another. We don't know fully what the whole practice of Islam is, or Hinduism, or Christianity, or Buddhism, but we want to learn from one another. I think that's the core multiculturalism that is rooted in who we are as Singaporeans and should not change over time. Then the rest are all things that are layered on. Yeah. So just
Okay.
want to make that point. Yeah.
No, that's fair. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the sharing. I'm going to actually throw this to some of our panelists right here because I think they've all got such interesting stories. Maybe Pin Siu, you want to help us out a little bit right here. You've got a wonderful story that I think, in a lot of ways, embodies Singapore's larger story. You know, your resilience and making change. What do you feel is the Singapore spirit, and how has your personal journey tied into the larger Singapore story of our Singapore spirit?
Mm, thanks for the question. I think I'm a bit surprised actually in the breakout rooms how the first three traits that most people think that the Singapore spirit is actually multiculturalism, which I agree, and then there's the kiasu kiasi spirit, which I thought kind of died down in this generation, and then there's also the future ready part. Yeah, so I'm actually like a bit surprised because I'm part of that generation where we were still kiasu kiasi. Okay, I'm not that old, but like still competitive and things like that, you know. I feel like now they are a bit more inclusive, caring, going in that direction, right? So I think for me, what I really feel embodies the spirit really is the resilience that a lot of us have, but maybe don't have the opportunity to show it yet. So when I was a student, I wasn't a very good student. I didn't have fantastic grades, right? But the only thing that I was really, really passionate about was really my sport. And so I put like 100% of my time into it. And after Beijing 2008, that was my first Paralympics. I came back with a gold and silver medal. Then I took my O levels, and I did.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing, right? You got your first gold medal before you took O levels.
Yes.
I didn't even, yeah. See, that's why it's so inspiring. I don't know if, how many of you knew that. That's a beautiful story, man. I did not even have a proper pair of pants before I took my O levels. That was how pathetic. Yeah.
No, I'm
Parents-
really, really fortunate to have those kind
Yeah.
of opportunities as well. But then it was only after I took my O levels, my results came back wasn't what I wanted, and then I thought to myself, okay, if I can be a world champion, there's no way I cannot study, right? There's no way I cannot do what I want to do. So I went into poly. I was from Republic Poly. I took a year of swimming, and then I spent like I went into a course which I really enjoyed, which was sports science.
Right.
So basically everything I had already been doing, like the nutrition part of it, biomech, uh, injury management kind of things. And then I started to do very well also because I realized that it like the things I learned from sport was really transferable, like the resilience and things like that, the determination, time management. Yeah. So I
That's
think
wonderful.
like like Singaporeans, we really have these kind of spirits, this Singapore spirit, but it's how we want to use it at the end of the day.
That's a beautiful point, right? I think that really speaks a lot because inherently all of us have some form of that resilience in our DNA, and like MOS mentioned, this multiculturalism is also a part of our DNA because nobody is born intolerant, nobody is born with anti-racial sentiments.
Yeah.
So it's all learned behavior, and if we can use it positively, like you have so fantastically, yeah, maybe we can all get by in a more positive manner. So thank you so much. I'll come back to you, Prince. I just want to involve some of our other panelists right here. Shanti, how's it going, Shanti? How are you? Uh, Shanti,
I'm
we've got,
good.
hey, thanks so much. We've got some questions coming through the pigeonhole, so I'm gonna just
Uh-huh.
weave those in as well right here because I think the I mean, the participation is quite exciting right here. To build on what Pin Siu has just shared, right, do you feel Singaporeans are inclusive, or, and this is an interesting question, okay, or have we just built a level of tolerance to various communities? Because perhaps there is a difference,
Yeah.
right? Are you genuinely inclusive, or have we just reached a level where we are building tolerance to different communities? This is one of our questions from the Pigeonhole.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I think to a certain extent, yes. Or like I think we're just slowly growing from a point where we didn't really we weren't really that much of a multicultural nation in the sense that we didn't respect each other's cultures and respect other races and stuff like that. But I think we're slowly growing. I think we can definitely see a lot of improvement over the past, many years. I
Mm.
mean, yeah, there are instances like the interracial video that was a bit uncalled for, and like the lady with the gong and situations like that, where I mean, I believe it's not a true indication of who we are
Mm.
as Singaporeans, because I do believe that, I mean, yeah, we are a multicultural society. We do try our best to learn about the different cultures, and we do like embrace it in schools, embrace it at the workplace and stuff like that. So I don't think it's a bad thing that we have reached a certain level of tolerance. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just the level of growth that we are going through right now. And I mean, we can't expect change to happen right away.
Mm.
I think we all have to remember that also. Like we can't expect change to happen like overnight.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's just a learning process, it's a growing process. And eventually I definitely believe we'll reach a point where we will truly be inclusive of all the races and cultures.
All right, cool. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. It is true. I feel like you're absolutely right. You know, it is a learning process, and the fact that a lot of the groups here have said that multiculturalism they feel is one of the key traits of the Singapore spirit. I think that speaks a lot about where at least this generation of youths are in terms of your conversation and where your line is about inclusiveness and multiculturalism.
Yeah, but if I can add, actually, like I agree. Like I think a lot it was very common. I think the both breakout groups I was in, they said multicultural was like the top trait, which I agree lah. Like we live in a society where we are living with different races and religions and stuff. But I think it goes a lot more deeper than that. Banking on what Minister said, it's what we do with the roots, right? It's what we do with that. So it goes a lot deeper than that. It's about like how we speak to each other, how we speak about each other. I think that's very important. Yeah, just like daily interactions with different races and even with your own race about, talking about other races and stuff. So I think we have to go deeper in a sense. I mean, yes, we are a multicultural nation. It is one of our top traits, but we have to dive a bit deeper and just respect each other a little bit more. Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna actually just bring Aiken into the conversation because I think Minister also mentioned a little bit about technology and social media and how sometimes we see, and I think Minister Lawrence Wong also mentioned this in the one of the press cons that the negative news unfortunately travels much faster than the positive news. Because it's more dramatic, or it makes your heart race faster, and then you share and everything. But the good stuff, unfortunately, we don't hear so much of, or we don't hear enough of, or maybe it gets eclipsed by that. As a creator yourself, Aiken, like what's your experience been in the online sphere in terms of positive or negative examples of the Singapore spirit being embodied in this time?
So, hi everybody. Once again, thanks for having me. I would say for what I take in, like what social media goes both ways, right? What you take in and what you put out. For what I take in, I'm very, very conscious and cautious about what I take in because I understand that it can affect my mental health. It can affect my mood for that day. I tend to I tend to not, I tend to like to control what I see, right? So in terms of Facebook, to be honest, I tend to stay away from it. No offense to Facebook, but because it sometimes generates things I don't want to see and that would affect my day. So I'm very particular about that because I want to make sure that I take in good stuff, you know, and things that will value add to my life. On the other hand, as a creator, I do feel like it's I feel like things that are sensational, right, in a bad way, like you know, all these things that we just cited, they are easily forgotten. They are also very quickly uprooted. They don't take deep roots to me. However, if you as a content creator or if you as a creative person can put deep roots into your the content that you put out, using what Minister's analogy is based on, I think that will speak volumes. Because, for example, I'm not saying like I'm the best, like, you know, great, you know, but on Food King, we actually started by celebrating hawker culture in Singapore. That was our heart and that was our goal. We are reaching about 200 episodes now. And for every episode that we do that shines a light on the hawker, we do not make any money from it. In fact, we in a business sense bleed costs because we're using our resources to just celebrate hawkers and shine a spotlight on them, right? We've been doing this for the last 3 years, so over 200, about to be 200 episodes now. That is a deeper root to me of you know, doing something that will value add to the community and to the society a lot more than a quick sensational news. And I think that as unspoken or as usual or as taken for granted as it seems, it does present to what I believe a deeper root that will in a sense bear good fruit in the future, you know, and it's brought about a lot of good opportunity, not just for the content creators but for hawkers and for the F&B community. And so yeah, along with what everybody's talking about in terms of social media, I still say that the good stuff, the stuff that value adds, that makes our society better, even though sometimes they are not as loud as a resounding gong, if no pun intended, they are in a sense a good pillar of our society to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I completely, I think that's a beautiful point, man, Aiken, and thanks for sharing that because I was told once also, you know, the content of positivity, you know, that seed that you plant lasts a lot longer, and you know, to follow Minister's analogy, the roots are stronger and it grows much faster. Whereas if you plant seeds of negativity, actually, they hopefully can disappear much faster, lah. Like you say, they are forgotten very quickly because there was no real substance in that.
Yeah.
But here's the other challenge, right? And anybody can jump in from the panel here, right? Is it our duty, whether as citizens, as fellow Singaporeans, as creators, as leaders, if you see something that is going wrong, is it our duty to call it out, or is it better to go like, no lah, let's play it down? This is not really the case. It's not as bad as everybody's making it sound. What is our stance there? And feel free, anybody can jump in and contribute here. Anyone?
Actually, if I just may really quickly,
Please.
you know, in contrast to, I think, many different ways in which we approach some of these racial, religious tensions, which a lot of our friends here in the Polys have mentioned earlier on, there is one incident which I really thought was very heartwarming. It's by my friends Sarabjit Singh from the Young Sikh Association. A couple of years ago, I think there was this social media influencer who were blocked by two young Sikh men wearing turbans. And so she made some
at a concert, right?
Yes, at a concert.
Yes,
yeah. So she made some derogatory comments, lah. So instead of taking offense, and I think, you know, of course, I think Sarabjit later on told me that, you know, they of course took offense initially, but then they thought of doing it very differently, and then they invited this social media influencer to the Gurdwara, and then to explain the Sikh faith to them, to this social media influencer. I think that's a good example of, number one, not taking offense, but then also a learning experience for others also, outside of your faith and outside of your culture.
Yep. That's wonderful. Yeah, you're right. That's an example of turning something that could have been very easily misconstrued and turned into a very rage inciting incident, because the Sikh faith obviously, you know, is something that everybody is very particular about their faith. So I feel like, yeah, you're right. That's a very positive example of how it was used for betterment rather than for inciting rage. So yeah, very good example. In fact, that links a lot to one of the very popular questions we're having through the Pigeonhole. That's one example of this actually. So they have asked us, besides having racial harmony day in school, okay, so we can bring this conversation forward, because I think now we've discussed a lot about what some of the challenges are, what some of the issues are, but I think everybody is interested in how we can make things better for each other. So besides racial harmony day, what other ways can we pursue to improve the conversation on multiculturalism, and how can we learn from one another in a safe space? If anyone has ideas, I don't know, maybe
If I may.
yeah, please.
Yeah. I think exactly the topic of my career, food. Food is a great starting point to learning about culture. So let me tell you, I'm like BFFs with my nasi padang makcik downstairs, because there is no one who makes food like her. So every time I go down, she knows my order. But what's really interesting is, uh, 2 years ago, she asked me, she said, boy, I tell you, if my daughter not attached, I give her to you. And I was like, no, chick. Like, but I mean, it's just all these like lovely interactions, you know, that we get. And then, so what was interesting to me was one day, you know, I always order my usual thing. And she goes like, hey boy, have you tried paru before? And I said, I've never tried paru. What is paru? And she's like, it's fried beef lung. And I was like, okay, I love innards, but I never knew that paru was that. So I tried it, and it just became a connecting point for us to learn about even like cuisine and about the food that you know, she has made traditionally for so long, and it became a point of just connection and learning for me. It was very interesting as well, because I don't know if you guys remember, there was a season of MasterChef where someone made a comment about rendang being crispy, and so I actually went to do a little interview with her, and I said, chick, have you heard about crispy rendang? And she was like outraged. She was like, boy, no such thing as crispy rendang, let chick tell you. So she was, you know, sharing with me about you know, like the traditional way of doing things. So I would say, like, if you don't know where to start, and if you're a foodie, you know, you should definitely, even if you're not a foodie, everyone needs to eat, give it a shot. Go try something at the in the canteen, in the food court that you don't usually try, and you're going to be very, very surprised.
Fair. No, that's good, man. I think Akan's absolutely right. You know, first of all, if you would have accepted your makcik's proposal, that's a TV show I want to watch, bro. Like,
Acha season 2.
yeah. Oh man, that's like starring Akan Chia. How did he impress his future mother-in-law by eating paru-paru?
Yeah, I said, like, if she can cook as good as you, I'm in.
Wow. Look at these lines, these like flirtatious lines Akan is slowly dropping. Very cool. No, thanks. No, that's a good point, right? Like, I think it's what we probably want to understand is that it's a starting point to something deeper, right? Because food can be, a discussion about food can be inclusive, and it can be a good conversation starter. But what you've shared really beautifully is that you learn a bit more about the culture, not just about the food, right? I mean, you learn about so many other things, you know, family. You understand a little bit more about where they're coming from in terms of perspective, and I think we have to take that step. It cannot just probably stop at there, but it's a good starting point, which is beautiful. If you don't know where to start, like you say, right? Thanks for sharing, Akan. I'm gonna bring our next conversation in. I want to change the discussion a little bit, because I know we have been focusing a lot on the issue of race here and inclusivity. This is a question for the youths of tomorrow. I think maybe Pinsu, you can help us out a little bit here. A question's coming through. How do we suggest that Singapore, and especially the youths, the fresh grads, the undergrads, how can we be more future ready? Wow. I mean, I asked Pinchu this because I think you've obviously got, like I said, you've got a wonderful journey, and you've obviously got some innate leadership qualities as well. So what's your take on this? One of our most popular questions in the Pigeonhole.
I think to be able to talk about future ready, you really need to be able to blend into your community, your culture, really, so that you can be part of the team. Because I strongly feel that being a leader is not a one person role. Being future ready is not something you can do yourself. It's something that you must do together with your community of friends, your mentors, and things like that. And it's important to to continuing on the discussion just now, to be inclusive. And it's not only to like race and culture, it's also to different forms of minority, people with disabilities, people who are just different from you, different sexual orientation, male, female, anything. It's just to really be equal, so that you can learn from each other. It's about having a diverse community so that you have the chance to get to learn from one another and be less judgmental. So I think if you have so much support along the way, it's easier to be future ready when you ask for help or when you need some advice from people. Yeah, so I feel that a support and a network is extremely important.
Do you think we are moving in the right direction of building this support network?
I feel that the youths want to move in that direction. Most of them are starting to be a bit more accepting and things like that. So we are in the right step, but we definitely do need support, like advice from other people, from the seniors, to tell us that this is right. I'm willing to help you. I'm offering you a hand to be future ready, and come with me. You can learn a lot. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks a lot, Vinciu. I appreciate that. I have another question right here that's coming through. This is okay, a little bit linked to what we had before. Shanti, maybe you can help us out on this one, just to get you involved a bit more, because I think we were just chatting a little bit about this earlier, a bit more about inclusiveness. Do we think that the Singapore spirit is exclusive only to Singaporeans, or is the Singapore spirit also something that's inclusive to anyone who's not Singaporean, like PR, or someone who's a foreigner or a pass holder? Do they, for the want of a better word, do they factor into our conversations of the Singapore spirit, in your opinion?
I think yes. To answer your question.
Good answer.
Okay, no, I mean, yeah, being having multiculturalism in our roots doesn't just we don't just branch out to fellow Singaporeans. I think we should, or we do branch out to whoever it is, like we embrace whoever it is that comes with our country, like PRs or work pass holders or anything like that. Like I'm I'm all for that, like my coach is from Portugal. Yeah, and I am totally okay with him being here. He embraces the culture just as much as I embrace his. Like it's not just like sticking in Singapore. I think it branches out, to anywhere in the world, like wherever we go. I think our multiculturalism trait like goes with us everywhere. Yeah, and I think like being in sport, it comes out even more because like we travel, we go to different places, or people from other countries come here and we all compete together. We all have a good time competing together, and I think that's a really good way for us to showcase that we do embrace different cultures. Yeah, and it's really a trait that lies in all of us as Singaporeans.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks. And just to add to that, I think, I mean, all our folks, or well, parents or grandparents or great grandparents, at some point, someone down the family line was an immigrant, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're all here. So I think that's why it feels a bit unfair sometimes where we have situations where, and these are probably not the best questions to ask, right? You say, are you Singaporean? I get that a lot.
Yeah, I get it a lot.
Are you Singaporean?
Yeah,
And then when I
yeah,
say
yeah.
yes, sometimes they will start berating foreigners.
Yeah.
Just because I say I'm
You know what
Singaporean.
you should do? You should answer in Chinese.
Just confuse them, right?
Yeah, just confuse them.
啊，这马来人说什么啊？我不知道嘞。But yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, you brought up a very good point also, Shanti. Things like sport, because that cuts through any kind of language barriers or cultural barriers or racial barriers, because the language you are speaking is universal. And I think that is the same for things like music, sport, or even sometimes art and culture, right? Which actually is one of the questions that's quite that is trending on our pigeonhole. Oh gosh, man, that's the weirdest phrase I've used all morning. I apologize. I didn't mean to say the question that is trending in my pigeonhole, but that is what is happening right now. Okay, the question is here, and it is asking us. How can arts and culture contribute to the Singapore spirit? Singapore's unique arts and culture, how does that help to contribute to the Singapore spirit? Minister, how? What do you feel?
Start dancing.
Start lah. Make sure it's a multicultural dance. We're not going to let you get away with like single cultural dance.
I say this at no, not risk, but my constituency is actually in Little India. Yeah, so my a lot of my my community leaders say, hey, you have more quota than anybody and any of us, because I always and then I've done a lot of the like Ponga and all that lah. So it's really I think, but that's the thing, I make a fool of myself when I do that.
Why? Why do you feel that?
No, but you try to hit the, what do you call it, the earthen jar, the uru.
Oh, okay. It's like the clay jar.
Yeah, the clay pot and all that. Yeah, so they give you a gala, and you try to hit it, and you just miss it. It's basically like the Mexican, what do you call that, piñata lah.
Right.
So, but the thing is, it's okay to go and like kind of, mess up a little bit, but just try. And then people are like, oh, you're just trying, even though you are Chinese or you're Malay, just try.
Yeah.
I think that's quite important. And arts and culture can be at a very different level where you go high performance and everything, but it's also very much at the local level. And to what Iken had mentioned earlier on, right? There are a few things that bind us together lah. So food is one. That's one thing. And then we also have sports, right? So you have Pinsiu and Shanti also that binds us together. But even in this panel also, then you have comedy, and what you do very well. Who are you, right? What you do very well is to disarm, to disarm, and then sometimes take a laugh at yourself a little bit, and I think that lowers a lot of tensions. And arts and culture, and that is your art, your craft also, Marish. And I think that helps to disarm a lot of people, and don't take ourselves that seriously, but at the same time also try to learn from one another. I think that's the core purpose of our arts culture community as well.
Yeah, that's well said, right? Like your involvement in some of these cultural activities is an effort. It is an opportunity, and also it's not to like say you fool around, but you're not meaning to be to mock anything. You're going there to learn and be a part and be included in the celebrations, which is a very positive thing.
Actually, Rishi, if you don't mind me asking and putting you in a spot, right? On Minister's note that you do comedy, how is it like for you to be navigating these sort of social the climate in comedy? Like, has it been hard, or has it been something that you are consciously aware of?
Yes and no. I think the medium plays a big part, and this is something for all of us right here, right? So for example, my main craft up till last year was on a live stage in terms of stand-up comedy, where the rules of engagement are very different because the audience is paying money to come and watch a comedy show. So they understand that there's a stand-up comedian here, and whatever is being said I'm not going in the capacity of journalists or as a politician or as a representative from the government. No, I'm going there as a comedian. So maybe there is a bit more leeway in that people don't, walk. I mean, of course, people still get upset, but there is a sense that, oh, okay, these are jokes. And as a comedian, what I feel my responsibility is to not just make them laugh, but hopefully make them think a little bit as they walk away. But that's just my personal goal, and I don't know if I always succeed. More recently, I've had to create more online content, and that's where the lines are a bit blurred, because it's no longer just the people who have chosen to watch your content that are there. It is everybody. Could be someone from a 4-year-old child all the way to a 65-year-old auntie sitting in the park after her Tai Chi session, So the rules are a little different, I feel, for online medium versus live shows. And I feel I'm learning that a bit better now. But I also feel like my genuine approach is that, I'm not doing anything to deliberately create a negative situation. But if there's something wrong, I feel like call it out, whichever the medium is. Not to add fuel to the fire, but to responsibly share that, hey, these are things that are facts that are going on, and these are my opinions about it. With jokes, of course, not just anyhow, like seriously, must have some jokes, otherwise no point, there's a waste of time. But yeah, thanks for the question, man, appreciate it. I'm going to take a couple more right here, actually. Wow. Okay, I think everybody is very interested in our conversation about race. And being the democracy that we are, we cannot ignore it. So there have been some situations in recent times. Generally, most popular question we're having is, why are there these surfacing of racial acts or racist acts in these times? Why do we feel that this has been happening more in recent times? How, Iken? Since we just talked about it, you want to carry on?
Oh, I don't know why. I can't say like a specific reason why, but I feel like it roots yes, its roots in not being able to see the value of a human life, right? Irregardless of these differences. If we are able to assign intrinsic value to anyone and every human being, I think then we can understand we can have more compassion and empathy for somebody who is different from us. So yeah, perhaps why is also like mixed with the need to compare and to be on top. Coupled with the fact that some of these differences come from like a refusal to understand or to embrace like these differences as well. Yeah. So
just to add to that, sorry to break your train of thought, but that's actually very interesting, because these differences that we are talking about, they've existed, I mean, since we've all been around, right? I think one of the discussions that popped up in some of the groups was that during the pandemic, people's frustrations and their stresses have
for sure
caused people to be have a shorter fuse, maybe. And maybe that's how these things have come to the forefront. Perhaps that's one potential explanation for it. I'm going to bring it to some of our other panelists if they want to jump in on this. Has that been your experience, Pinsu, for example? Like, being in this difficult situation, do you think that has increased people's frustrations?
Yeah, I completely agree with the both of you. Like, I think it's important to always put people first before all the other exterior characteristics. And also, being at home, it's really can be frustrating sometimes, especially when you're isolated. And you don't really have the kind of community that you need. So I think it's also important to bring in like this mental health awareness. It's been going around, and I think these people, maybe like what you said, is short fuse, so they do need more support. So along with mental health awareness, there also needs to be mental health support, right? We cannot just create awareness but not have support. So I think it's also an angle that we need to work on so that more people don't think of it as a taboo, as taboo anymore, and go and seek the help that they need. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it is all linked. You're absolutely right? Like if, mental health support hopefully will be able to help all of us deal with things a bit better. I think during Circuit Breaker last year, this started that there was a Ministry of Health helpline where you could call at any time to get free counseling, whatever situation you were in. I think that was a fantastic initiative. I personally made some phone calls, I know for a fact, during that time, because it was a challenging time, right? And once you understood that, okay, there are certain ways that you can help yourself during this period, hopefully you got better as well. I do have to take one final question before I invite MOS to share some closing remarks. So,
Rich, if I can just build on to Pinchu's point earlier, because I was looking at the notes.
please.
In room 6, we have Amelia and Camelia. They mentioned this, they said really their point is being online too much. And I took a note that where Camelia said she's almost going crazy. She's always on the computer. She was looking forward to celebrate Raya last year, and then this year also. Camelia, if you're on, and you couldn't also this time. And then Amelia also said, it's just been online so much, couldn't appreciate orientation, because orientation is not the same lah. I think also many of y'all want to interact with people, but then I know your orientation becomes online, which is absolutely, and you don't even know, I think, Amelia, you said that you don't even know your CCA mates. So this is quite an issue. And Pinchu, I think you hit the point on the head, because we also, that takes a toll on our mental health. And then we also get a little bit, kanchiong, or get a bit frustrated, or sometimes go a bit gila, because after a while you're so cooped up. But I think one thing that I also tried to share, and I think one of Parliament's the thing is, COVID-19 has taught us to socially distance, to be socially distanced, but we cannot learn the wrong the lesson to be socially distanced from one another. I think you have to be quite distinct from that. Sorry to interrupt, Rich.
No. Thanks for adding that, right? So you must be physically apart but still connected to people, so that you don't lose your sanity. I think that's very important. In some cases, if you are overly physically connected or being in the same space too much, that makes you lose your sanity also. You can ask my wife that question. She will tell you that I've been driving her mad for the past 1 year. But don't worry, all of you in the poly, you don't have to worry about that for a long time. I hope. Or unless you have other plans, hey, do what you want to do. It's 2021, we had a pandemic. I'm not going to judge you if you're going to get hitched early or, have children. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now because I have one final question. Maybe to what about, Shanti, maybe you want to help us close this before I invite MOS to do his closing remarks. This is a bit more of a generic question, but feel free to add what you will to it. What is your vision for the youth of Singapore? Wow. This is your preparation for your NDP rally speech. You were to give it. Just
My
imagine you
vision
are at
for the youth.
the float at MBS, and this is many years down the road, and you are the one delivering the speech to the youth at the YOG 2025.
Wow, no pressure, man.
Wow. Oof. Okay, so what vision for the youth of Singapore, right? That was the question. I think, okay, building on this whole pandemic, what we've been through the past 1.5 years already. I feel like,
I'm not sure I understand.
oh, I'm sorry. Siri just turned on for I don't know what happened. Okay, so
Siri is helping you out with this.
Yeah, I think so. Because of this pandemic, I feel like, so what I've seen, like on TikTok, Instagram and stuff like that, I feel like even though it's a bad situation we're in right now, the time that everyone has at home has helped them like think about what they actually want to do. Like the things that they like, their true passions, I think. So that's why I see like on TikTok, Instagram, like so many small businesses growing, like you know, they do their cute little videos of like packing jewelry and packing books and stuff like that. And I truly found that quite inspiring. Even though some of them may be younger than me, I thought it was very inspiring. Like they really using this time to think about what they actually want to do, like or the things that they like in their finding the resources, like finding ways in making sure that they can do it. They can sell their stuff online and stuff like that. And I thought that was very, very inspiring. It was a very nice thing to see. And so I think building on that, like one vision that I think, you know, youth should, the vision I have for youth in Singapore, I think is to really dive into your passion. I think like it's very easy to go into the route, like the standard route. I think like, you know, get good grades, get into a good school, get a high paying job, and then just get married, have kids, like the standard route, you know. But that's not what everybody wants. I think if you really want to do something that you truly love, like just do it, like pour your heart and soul into it. Do everything you can to make sure you actually get something out of it. Like, I mean, it's the same thing for sports, right? Like it's a road less traveled. You know, like not many people go down this route, but we do it because we love it. So if you have the same kind of passion, like whether it's in sport or anything else, like just go for it lah. Don't be scared. Yeah, don't be scared. Just find the resources, find what you can do to make the best out of this situation. Yeah.
That's very well put. You know, doing what you love, pouring your heart and soul into it, and all of you on the panel actually are living, breathing examples of that. So thank you for leading by example, all of you. Wonderful.
I'm so sorry to intrude, but can I just add to Shanti's point because it was very inspirational.
Please.
And especially, yeah, and especially because I think most of our friends here are in Poly, and Poly was a very, very significant time in my life. I came from a lower income single parent family at that time, and I was really, really struggling with, you know, my school fees, with my finding my, you know, what I want to do. And I think I really love what Shanti said about following your dreams and your passion, because the first gig that I ever booked in media was during my poly days. I auditioned for a show on Octo, which is New Kid Central, which is the kids network, right? And what was very cool was that my poly allowed me to take on that job as my internship, for example. And I believe that my lecturer and the people in charge of, where I was, they really saw an ability to communicate or to host, and they saw it during presentations, they saw it during their interviews with me, and they were very willing to develop that and give me the space to grow in that. And so I just want to encourage everybody who's here, to really do what Shanti said. Do not stop with chasing and pursuing what you're good at. I did all of this on top of my school, and eventually this became the path that I took. It was something that was, I would say, not always supported or not always understood, but I knew that I love to speak. I love being in front of the camera. I love being creative, and I'm not the math and science guy. Like until now, if you give me the receipt, I still have problems calculating like which is my portion, and you could cheat me very easily. But I'm a creative, and very thankful for that the environment that I'm in. So I just want to encourage you, if you have sort of found clues to what you're good at, don't give up on that, because for me it's led me to eventually what I am doing. Yeah,
that's beautiful, man. I really can see this panel being at NDP one day, lah.
Vote for me, thank you.
Yeah, vote for. No, you've already been voted in, bro. Like I said, you're going to. Now, you know what's beautiful? All these inspirational speeches actually inspire more inspirational speeches. So if I had more time, I would tell you one more thing. But okay, yeah, they've said everything. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Go and do what you want. Okay, the systems do exist sometimes to make you believe that, okay, yeah, this is the path you want to take, like Shanti said. But I will always encourage you that if you feel that there's something that you want to do and you really feel that there's a clue, like Aiken said, you don't have to be very clear about it, but there's a clue, a slight hint that you might be good at it, I will urge you to get off the road and go and figure out what that is. And there are people around, there are support networks around, like Pinsu has mentioned, that are existing that can help you get what you want. One case in point is today's session, right? Which I think Minister of State is going to emphasize in a while. These conversations are not just here for us to talk and go back and forget, right? There are actual NYC initiatives that you can be a part of that helps you make your ideas into actions if you so want to be a part of. So thank you.